Good morning. Today we will look at the family of function called execute family of functions, and there are six functions. As you can see, they all differ in the way you pass the parameters, but they all do the same thing. Okay, then you may ask, what do they do, right? Valid question. So the if you look at the memory layout of any C program, we know that this is how it gets laid out, and this is the program that you have, the object code and the variables, heap, stack, arguments, environment variables, and the kernel. And what really happens here, let's take a simple example. Let's take a paint here. And so when you launch your, let's say, main.c, right? Main.c. And so that is your main.c. Let's keep it main.c. And this is has a, when it runs, it has a process ID, right? Let's say 2300. And what happens when you do a fork? When you do a fork, a new process completely gets created. It's, we call the child program, right? The child is getting created. It is identical to the main.c, of course, but we know last time we talked is the process ID will be different. Let's keep it as 3300. All right, 3300. So this is the child, right? This is the child, and this is the parent, for example. And we know that how to force a child to execute a line of code. So here, after the fork in the child code, that we will say call this one of the execute family of functions. And let's take a simple example of PWD. Okay, and okay, one second. We will zoom in into this function in another paint. Okay, so so what does it do now, right? So we are going to zoom into this execute family of functions. So let's take this or maybe another one. It doesn't hurt to take another one. And here I want to make sure that is within here. So when you are this is the program that we remember, our main.c is running, right? And it has process ID, we said 3300, right? And so we did the fork and we call that family of function execl, right? And the objective of this execute family of function is to execute another program. So the main.c is now saying, I want you to execute, let's say PWD. First, PWD is print working directory, right? And this is the syntax for that, and don't ask me why this is, and that's the way it is. And I'll explain, of course, right? So the first parameter is the name of the program that you want to launch, with inclusive of the path. You say path. A lot of students forget this path and the name of the program that you want to launch. And name, you see that there's a name. It's a repeat, but that's the way it is. You can, I got questions from students, oh, my program is not running, and most of the time they forget to include the PWD in the path. Okay, they just simply do a bin. yeah, which doesn't work. All right, you have to give the entire path. So you should know where the path is, right? So now what happens is when the child program after the fork is trying to execute this line of code, this function takes these three parameters. This is called a null terminator, but it needs that. It needs to know how many parameters you're passing, and what is the end of those lists is the null terminator. So it wants that. So now you are passing two of them, right? This is one, but this is two. This is the null terminator. Okay, that's not the issue. So this function, what does it do? It does is it replaces the entire main.c. See that main.c you have here? It says it kicks this main.out, boom, get out, and loads the entire program with ls, because that's what, oh, the pwd, okay, that's what you passed, and start executing pwd in the same process ID. The process ID remains the same. Okay, so that is what you should know. And let's say any statements after this execl, let's say you say printf, it doesn't get the printf whatever goodbye, right? This will not be executed at all because this belongs to the main.c. So when the program came here, it wiped everything else, right? It just loads the entire layout of this memory with the PWD program. Everything from scratch, but with the same process ID. So that's what it does. Okay. And how you pass these parameters? Do you want to pass with an array? And remember here we have one of the memory segments is the argv and environment variables. You can pass these variables. Basically that's what it is all about. Do you want to take the existing environment variables, or do you want to take, I'm going to pass it to you? That's what the whole thing is all about. So you don't have to really worry about even though there are 6 of them, they pretty much do the same thing. So you may ask me, this one I classified in two columns, okay, and this one in this column, if you see a V here, it basically says pass everything in an array, basically. All right, and you may ask me, what is this guy? What is E stands for? E stands for environment variables. You are saying pass this E, the E at the end. E at the end, it says pass everything. Oops, passing the values in a my own environment variables. P stands for path. Path means look at my local uh, path. P stands for path. It says when you say pwd or any other program, you may say don't look at that slash bin and look at my local, look at my, where is that? It says look at my local path. That's okay. So let's not get into it. So let's write a simple program. All right. Um, like I said, let's copy some existing to main.c like I talked. Main.c. Don't worry about here. And fork. And here I said pwd, right? Bin slash pwd. And pwd you have to pass. And the rest are we're going to give null terminator like we talked. And the parent is going to wait. And before I call you, I call this program, I want to print print um, child process ID equal to, if you do a get PID, so that will print the child process, and we do not worried about this guy, and we're not worried about what the parent does. And now you see so this is exactly matches our program that we wrote, right? Where is it? There it is, right? And 1 second, I want to show it to you here, right? So this is what we did right now. Okay, here we did not use the this p here. We did not use the. We just used this function. Okay, and so let's go ahead and compile it and run it. Okay, and you should see the child printing PWD. Remember, I always mention to you in the class, even though, see here, child process, and it printed the PWD. This is printed by the child guy. Okay, and you can pass any program to that family of function to execute it. Okay, you can pass, let's say ls, and I print ls. You have to pass the same thing. Remember again, one more time, you have to pass the entire path. So if I go and compile it and run it, right, this is printed by the child. All right, so here another example here, j.sh I have. I'm going to rename as this j as what is it printing? It's printing 3 values, right? So I'm going to say print the sum of all these 3 numbers I'm passing. Let's say, how do I print sum equal to percent $1 plus $2 plus $3, and I say echo sum of all numbers is sum, right? First, let's go and make sure that this is working. Okay, I'm going to move the j.sh to sum.sh and run the sum.sh. Oh, you need to pass the 3 values, 2 plus 3 plus 4. Sum of all numbers is 9. You see, 2 plus 3. So this code is running. So we are going to call this guy from our C program. Okay, that we just wrote. So we just wrote main.c, right? So here I demonstrated 3 PWD and ls. Now I'm going to change this to p. P means look at my local variable, local directory, right? So I'm going to remove that to slash sum.sh. See, now I didn't give slash bin because I'm saying look at my local directory. So you have to pass that. And again, I need to say sum.sh. But this time I'm passing 3 parameters, right? So I need to pass them in a, let's say 3. Remember again 8. How I'm passing these values, right? So now I'm passing 3 variables, 3 parameters in a string fashion. See that string in double quotes. I didn't do just 3, 2, like I didn't do that. Okay, you have to put it enclosed within a string. You see that? Now the child process will go ahead and call this sum.sh using execlp. See that p, and I'm going to call. So this is another demonstration for you. So now I'm going to compile it. I'm not going to run it. Now see the fun. This is the fun part. You see that? You passed 3, 8, and 11 stands for 22. So this is printed by the child. So fun, right? That's how everything is done. So going back, this is all executed by the child process. Remember that. Okay. Nobody else. Okay. So the gist of the story of the execute family of functions is it replaces the program that's calling it. Okay. And you had, again, for doing homework assignments, please remember to pass the entire path and the name and enclose it with the uh, what is it called, within double quotes. And also you can do I can even pass my um, anything. I can pass a string, you can do whatever it is, right? Greeting, all that. So that is the end of this video. um, and again, another gist of the story is the process ID remains the same. Okay, please note, when you do Excel, it replaces the entire program, but the process ID will remain the same. Okay, when you do, process ID remains the same when you execute all these functions. Okay, or any of the all the six of them. Okay, so practice it. And like I always mention to you, you have to practice this on your own. Don't just look at the video and say, I know everything. This is not watching Instagram or YouTube or anything like that. This requires practice. So practice it. And um, thank you.